Most men believe they want power. They dream of crowns, wealth, and control. But I tell you this, you are not ready for this kind of power. For true power is not won by kindness, nor kept by virtue. It is seized by those willing to stain their hands, bend morality, and strike when others hesitate. And tonight, I will show you the darkest lessons of power, the ones no teacher dares whisper aloud. Why do so many fail when power is placed within their reach? Why do leaders crumble, lovers lose control, and men become servants to weaker rulers? It is because they cling to illusions of goodness, of fairness, of justice. I will strip away these illusions and reveal the world as it is, ruthless, deceptive, and unmerciful. Only then will you understand why most men are never truly ready for power. Power, the word itself, intoxicates. Men whisper it as if it were a prayer, dream of it as if it were salvation, and yet few truly understand the cost it demands. When most men imagine power, they see a throne bathed in glory, a crown that sparkles under divine light, armies at their command, and nations bowing in obedience. But what they fail to see is the truth. Power is not pure, it is not noble, it is not merciful. Power corrupts not because it chooses to, but because it must. It bends the soul, it reshapes the man who dares hold it, and it demands sacrifice at every step. If you wish to rise, you must abandon innocence. Because innocence and power cannot breathe the same air. Most men are not prepared for this corruption. They imagine they can rule with kindness, that they can win loyalty with generosity, that they can sit upon a throne and remain untainted. But power laughs at such men, for it consumes them swiftly. History is filled with kings who believed their good hearts would protect them, only to be betrayed, poisoned, and forgotten. It is not love that preserves power. It is fear, control, and the willingness to do what others will not. You see, to hold power is to step into a world where morality begins to decay. What once seemed wrong becomes necessary, and what once seemed evil becomes survival. The man who cannot make this transition will never rule, for he will hesitate where others act. He will cling to virtue while his enemies sharpen their knives. And in his hesitation, he will be destroyed. Power is not kept by the pure. It is kept by those who are willing to embrace its corruption, to allow it to darken their hearts without resistance. Do you know why corruption is inseparable from power? Because power is built upon human nature, and human nature is not pure. Men are selfish, ambitious, and deceitful. They will obey you not because they believe in your vision, but because you hold something they fear to lose. They will kneel, but in their hearts they plot. They will smile to your face, but behind their lips they curse you. If you wish to rule over such creatures, you must be more cunning, more ruthless, more dangerous than they are. To be virtuous in a world of wolves is to walk willingly into their jaws. Think of the rulers who tried to govern with gentleness. Their reigns were short, their enemies bold, their allies unreliable. A merciful ruler gives men hope that they can manipulate him. A generous ruler feeds their hunger until the hunger grows larger than he can satisfy. A trusting ruler becomes prey for the ambitious. And once the illusion of his strength collapses, he will find himself alone, abandoned by those who once praised him, mocked by those who once bowed. The corruption of power is not a choice, it is survival. If you refuse it, you are devoured. Consider this: a ruler must sometimes lie, for truth can be a weapon in the hands of his enemies. He must sometimes betray, for loyalty is not eternal. He must sometimes shed blood, for mercy toward the guilty is cruelty toward the innocent. These actions may be called corrupt, but they are necessary. What is corruption, if not simply the word men use when they are too weak to do what must be done? Power corrupts not only in action, but also in perception. It forces you to see men for what they truly are, not what they pretend to be. Once you hold power, illusions fall away. You see that friendship is often flattery, that loyalty is often convenience, that morality is often theater. You see that the same man who swears devotion to you will sell you for a handful of silver the moment fear leaves his heart. You see that the virtues people demand from their rulers are the very ones they themselves cannot keep. And when you see the world like this, corruption seeps not just into your deeds, but into your mind. The corrupt nature of power is this: to hold it, you must abandon the comfort of being good. You must accept that to protect your throne, you will lie when others beg for truth, you will punish when others cry for mercy, and you will sacrifice when others hesitate. You must allow yourself to become hated, feared, and misunderstood, because only then will your reign endure. The man who clings to virtue will be overthrown by the man who embraces necessity. But corruption is not chaos. It is order reshaped. A cruel act at the right time can preserve peace for decades. A lie spoken with precision can prevent a kingdom from tearing itself apart. A betrayal committed in silence can save an empire from ruin. What looks like corruption to the untrained eye is often the very foundation of stability. Those who understand power do not fear corruption. They wield it as a weapon, knowing that it is the iron price of authority. Power does not forgive innocence. If you enter its chambers with a pure heart, it will crush you. If you try to lead without corruption, men will see your mercy as weakness, your kindness as softness, your honesty as naivety. And they will use it against you. The throne is not a seat for the righteous. It is a battlefield for the ruthless. Innocence belongs to poets, priests, and dreamers. But rulers must be prepared to sacrifice innocence for survival. You may believe that corruption will consume your soul, that you can resist it and remain untouched. But I tell you this, it is not possible. Power demands blood, it demands deception, it demands sacrifice. To refuse is to fall, to accept is to rise. And so the question is not whether corruption will stain you, but whether you are strong enough to endure the stain without breaking, whether you can embrace the darkness and still command the light in the eyes of your people, whether you can live with hands that drip with guilt, while your crown rests firm upon your brow, whether you can bear the weight of choices that would shatter the hearts of lesser men, whether you can look upon betrayal, cruelty, and deception not as sins but as necessities, whether you can take what others call corruption and turn it into the very foundation of your power, whether you can step into the shadows willingly and never look back, whether you can hold on to power even when it poisons everything you touch, whether you can become the kind of ruler who accepts corruption not as a weakness, but as the inevitable price of greatness, whether you can control the word that separates rulers from the ruled. Most men imagine that power itself is enough, that the crown upon the head or the title before the name grants authority. But I tell you, crowns are empty metal, and titles are mere words if control is not secured. Power without control is like fire without direction. It burns its master as quickly as it burns his enemies. And yet, most rulers fall into ruin because they do not understand this ruthless art. They mistake affection for loyalty, generosity for obedience, kindness for respect. And when the storm of ambition rises, when envy coils in the hearts of their followers, they discover too late that their control was an illusion. A ruler must never rely on love alone. Love is fickle, fragile, and fleeting. It bends with the wind of fortune. Today they may love you, tomorrow they may curse your name. A single rumor, a single failure, a single betrayal. Love vanishes like mist before the sun. But fear endures. Fear anchors obedience when love has withered away. A man may stop loving his ruler, but he will not stop fearing him, not if that fear has been carefully woven into his bones. Fear is not cruelty without purpose. Fear is architecture. It is the silent wall that keeps rebellion from crossing into your halls. Do not misunderstand me. Fear must never be allowed to rot into hatred, for hatred breeds conspiracies, and conspiracies topple kings. The art lies in the balance to inspire enough fear that men obey without hesitation, yet enough admiration that they do not sharpen their daggers in the dark. This balance is delicate, ruthless, and essential. A ruler who leans too far into mercy is devoured by wolves. A ruler who leans too far into cruelty becomes a tyrant whose reign crumbles under revolt. To master control is to walk this narrow path without stumbling, to wield cruelty like a scalpel instead of a hammer, to strike with precision rather than abandon. Most men think control is a matter of force, armies, prisons, punishments. These are tools, yes, but tools are blunt when used alone. True control lies in perception. It lies in making men believe that obedience is in their best interest, that loyalty is safer than rebellion, that your will is not only law but destiny. This is why rulers who master appearances wield more power than those who rely on force alone. Men obey not simply because you command, but because they believe resistance is hopeless, because they believe your strength is unshackable, because they believe the cost of disobedience is greater than the price of obedience. Control requires theater. A ruler must learn to perform. He must display mercy when it suits him, generosity when it buys silence, justice when it pleases the crowd. But these gestures are never ends in themselves. They are instruments of control. When you give to bind. When you forgive to strengthen your image. When you punish not only the guilty, but to send a message to all who watch. Every action is not simply an act, it is a signal. And every signal must remind them that you are the axis upon which their world turns. The ruthless art of control also demands that you understand timing. A single act of cruelty, delivered swiftly and decisively, can secure obedience for years. A delayed punishment, a hesitant command, a wavering hand, these breed contempt. Men must believe that disobedience is answered with immediate and certain consequence. Mercy, when applied, must appear as a gift, rare and precious, not as a weakness that can be exploited. If they think you forgive too easily, they will sin against you more freely. If they know you punish without hesitation, they will tremble before they even consider betrayal. Consider the ruler who waits for loyalty to arise naturally. He will wait in vain. Loyalty is not born. It is manufactured. It is crafted through reward and punishment, through spectacle and silence, through manipulation of fear and the careful illusion of love. Men are loyal only to themselves, to their ambitions, to their survival. If you wish to bend them to your will, you must align their survival with your power. They must believe that their future dies if they abandon you, that their prosperity lives only under your shadow. Then, and only then, will they cling to you, not out of devotion, but out of necessity. Control, therefore, is not about holding chains. It is about making men hold their own chains willingly. It is about creating a reality in which obedience feels natural, inevitable, even desirable. And once they accept this, they will no longer resist, because resistance itself will seem like madness. But let us not forget, control is ruthless. It does not bend to sentiment or compassion. You must sometimes sacrifice those closest to you to preserve the throne. You must sometimes betray promises to maintain the greater order. You must sometimes strike down one man to terrify 100. These are not accidents of power, they are requirements of it. And the ruler who cannot bear to dirty his hands with such acts will find that others are eager to dirty theirs in his downfall. Many rulers in history fell because they believed control was secured by friendship. They surrounded themselves with allies, thinking loyalty would last. But allies are merely rivals in waiting, and friendship is the most dangerous illusion of all. A friend close to power is a threat clothed in affection. To maintain control, you must keep men divided, their ambitions scattered, their eyes turned against one another rather than against you. Unity among your followers is dangerous. Division among them is security. The wise ruler ensures that no man grows strong enough to challenge him, that no faction grows united enough to overthrow him, and that all who serve him depend upon him for their survival. The ruthless art of control is not learned in books, nor gifted by fortune. It is forged in necessity, in the understanding that men are not angels, but beasts cloaked in civility. To command them, you must sometimes appeal to their beast, sometimes to their civility, but never to their illusions. You must know when to reward with gold, and when to punish with steel. You must know when to whisper lies into their ears, and when to speak harsh truths that shake their bones. You must know when to caress with a gentle hand, and when to strike with an iron fist. Control is not one act, but 1,000 acts woven together into a single image, the image of inevitability. When men look at you, they must believe you are too strong to resist, too necessary to abandon, too dangerous to betray. They must see you as both their protector and their executioner, their source of hope and their shadow of fear. They must feel that to defy you is to gamble with their lives, while to serve you is to secure their safety. This is the ruthless art of control, and it is the only art that separates those who rule from those who are ruled, those who survive from those who are swallowed by history, those who understand power from those who. Men speak often of morality, as though it were divine light that guides rulers, as though justice, virtue, and honesty are the pillars upon which kingdoms stand. They tell their children that good men are rewarded, that honest rulers are beloved, that truth always prevails. But I tell you, morality is not a foundation. It is a costume. It is a mask worn by rulers to keep the masses obedient, to keep them docile, to give them the illusion that justice governs the world, when in truth it is power that governs all. Those who believe morality is real in politics are not rulers. They are prey. A ruler who seeks to be truly moral will be torn apart by those who only pretend to be. For morality is not a shield, it is a vulnerability. Men do not love virtue as much as they claim. They love victory, security, and prosperity. They will praise your honesty one moment, then curse you for it the next when it fails to bring them what they desire. They will admire your mercy, then despise you when your mercy allows enemies to flourish. They will applaud your justice, then abandon you when justice fails to serve their interests. The illusion of morality is demanded by the people, but the practice of morality destroys rulers. The truth is this: the people do not want a moral leader, they want the appearance of one. They want the comfort of believing their ruler is righteous while secretly demanding that he do what they themselves would never admit. They will say they want peace, yet cheer for blood when enemies threaten their borders. They will say they want honesty, yet punish truth when it displeases them. They will say they want justice, yet they will beg for mercy when the guilty happen to be their kin. What does this teach us? That morality is not a principle. It is a performance. It is a play stage for the eyes of the public, a drama acted out upon the stage of power. You must therefore master this performance. You must appear merciful, when in truth you strike without hesitation. You must appear honest, when in truth deception is your shield. You must appear just, when in truth you bend justice to suit necessity. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategy. For men judge not by what they see with their minds, but by what they feel in their hearts. And hearts are easily deceived. A ruler who appears virtuous will be followed, even if his hands drip with blood in secret. A ruler who appears just will be praised, even if his judgments are crafted for convenience. A ruler who appears pious will be adored, even if he kneels only when it serves his power. Understand this well, and it is better to appear moral than to be moral. For to be moral is to bind your own hands, while to appear moral is to bind the hearts of others. If men believe you are good, they will forgive your cruelties. They will excuse your lies. They will justify your betrayals. They will say, surely he had no choice. Surely he acted for the greater good. In their blindness, they will defend you even against themselves. But if you act with virtue alone, without the strength of deception, they will devour you the moment virtue ceases to serve them. Think of how religion has been used by rulers throughout history. The priests speak of piety, of holiness, of divine justice, but rulers understand it as a tool. A ruler who appears devout wins the trust of the people. He may commit atrocities, but if he cloaks them in the language of faith, the people bow their heads and call it destiny. A ruler who appears chosen by God may rule with cruelty, yet the people will praise his strength as divine will. It is not holiness that rules the world. It is the illusion of holiness. And those who mistake the illusion for the truth are the ones who are ruled, never the ones who rule. Let us speak of honesty. Men praise honesty when it benefits them, but curse it when it wounds them. If a ruler were to speak the truth always, he would strip himself bare before his enemies. He would give them his plans, his weaknesses, his intentions. And the people who claim to love honesty would call him a fool for revealing too much. Lies, when told with mastery, are the armor of the ruler. They confuse enemies, they soothe the people, they mask intentions until the moment of action. Yet if you lie openly, without disguise, men will turn against you. So again, the illusion matters more than the reality. You must lie convincingly, while wearing the face of honesty. Then, even in your deception, men will swear you speak the truth. And what of mercy? They demand it, they praise it, they exalt the merciful ruler as a saint. Yet when mercy breeds chaos, when it allows enemies to gather strength, when it weakens the throne, the same people will condemn you for being weak. Mercy, then, must be wielded sparingly, like a rare jewel. Show it when it wins hearts, but deny it when it endangers the state. And always, always, appear merciful even when you are ruthless. For the people do not see the blade hidden beneath your robe, they see only the smile upon your lips. Justice, too, is a fiction. Men believe it to be eternal, unchanging, divinely ordained. But justice bends with power. The ruler decides what is just. And if he is wise, he does so in a way that convinces the people that justice is not his decision, but destiny itself. Justice must never appear as your invention, for then it will be seen as tyranny. It must appear as tradition, as law, as something greater than you, even when you are the one who molds it to your advantage. In this way, the illusion of justice secures obedience, while the truth of justice remains firmly in your grasp. This is why morality must never guide your hand. It is a chain, and chains belong to slaves, not to rulers. But the illusion of morality, that is a sword, that is a crown, that is a weapon sharper than steel and more enduring than fear. It wins you allies, it blinds your enemies, it pacifies the people. They see virtue and believe in you, even as you act with vice. They see goodness and believe they are safe, even as you deceive them. They see justice and believe the world is fair, even as you tip the scales with your own hand. The illusion of morality is not deception for its own sake. It is the most powerful deception of all. It transforms vice into virtue, cruelty into justice, lies into truth, betrayal into loyalty. It makes the people love their chains, because they believe those chains are woven from righteousness. And if you can master this illusion, if you can wear the mask of morality so perfectly that none dare question it, then you will hold not just their obedience, but their hearts, their faith, their very souls. And with such mastery, you will understand that morality in the realm of power was never real. It was always a play, always a mask, always a hesitation, the silent executioner of kings, the invisible dagger that cuts deeper than steel. Many imagine that power is lost in battle, in betrayal, in rebellion, in the clash of armies or the plots of conspirators. But more often, power dies in the pause, in the moment a ruler delays, doubts, or falters. Hesitation is the unseen assassin, the weakness that transforms rulers into victims, and yet it creeps in so quietly that most never realize it has already destroyed them. Consider how swiftly fortune turns. Opportunities come like lightning, bright and sudden, and only those who seize them in that instant can master them. A ruler who hesitates, who ponders endlessly, who waits for certainty, discovers too late that the chance has passed into the hands of his enemy. Power does not wait for the hesitant. It rewards the decisive. The man who acts boldly may fail, yes, but the man who hesitates always fails, for the world moves while he stands still. A ruler cannot afford the luxury of indecision. Men may forgive cruelty, they may forgive lies, they may even forgive betrayal if it brings them stability. But they never forgive weakness, and hesitation is the clearest form of weakness, for it shows fear where there should be resolve, confusion where there should be clarity, doubt where there should be command. When men sense hesitation in their ruler, their loyalty begins to crumble. They wonder if his strength is an illusion, if his power is slipping, if he is fit to lead at all. Enemies grow bolder, allies grow restless, conspirators grow confident, all because the ruler could not decide swiftly. Do you see why hesitation is so deadly? It gives time to others. Time to plot, time to whisper, time to strike. While you wait, your enemies move. While you ponder, they act. While you hesitate, they seize the very power you thought you possessed. The throne is never truly secure. It must be defended every hour, every day, not with armies alone, but with decisions made at the right moment. And the ruler who fails to decide in time will find himself overthrown before he even lifts his hand. Look at history, and you will see it written in blood. Great empires crumbled not because their armies were weak, but because their rulers hesitated when faced with danger. A single delayed command allowed enemies to breach walls. A single pause in judgment allowed conspirators to strike. A single moment of doubt allowed rivals to rise. The pattern repeats itself again and again. Hesitation breeds ruin. But understand this, decisiveness is not recklessness. To act swiftly does not mean to act blindly. A ruler must judge with clarity, yes, but once the judgment is made, he must strike like a sword, fast, sharp, without wavering. A delayed strike dulls its edge. A half measure emboldens the enemy. Better to strike decisively and risk failure than to hesitate and guarantee it. Men admire decisiveness, even when it is harsh. They fear it, they respect it, they obey it. When you act swiftly, you create the impression of mastery, of inevitability. You leave no room for your enemies to breathe, no time for your rivals to plot, no hope for your doubters to resist. The very speed of your decision becomes a weapon, crushing hesitation not only within yourself, but within those who might oppose you. For when you act before others expect, you seize the advantage, and advantage is the lifeblood of power. Imagine a ruler faced with rebellion. If he hesitates, if he sends envoys to negotiate, if he waits for signs of loyalty, the rebellion grows stronger, the conspirators gain courage. The people begin to doubt his strength. But if he acts swiftly, if he punishes the traitors before their plot ripens, if he crushes them before they draw their swords, the rebellion dies in its cradle, and the people marvel at his foresight. In truth, he may not have been certain, but certainty is less important than decisiveness. It is not the perfect decision that preserves power, but the swift one. Even mercy requires decisiveness. A ruler who hesitates in granting pardon appears weak. A ruler who hesitates in delivering justice appears unjust. Mercy delayed is meaningless, and punishment delayed is destructive. Both lose their force when not delivered at the proper moment. Timing is everything. A swift act of mercy can win hearts. A swift act of cruelty can instill fear. But hesitation in either makes both worthless. Hesitation is not only the death of rulers, it is the death of ambition itself. Men who dream of power often fail not because they lacked opportunity, but because they hesitated to seize it. They waited for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect certainty. But perfection never comes. Only moments come, fleeting and fragile, and once gone, they never return. He who waits for perfection waits forever. He who seizes the imperfect moment with boldness often succeeds, for the world rewards action more than it rewards caution. You must understand that enemies are always watching, always measuring, always testing. They probe not your armies, but your resolve. A single hesitation tells them everything they need to know. It tells them you can be broken, you can be delayed, you can be defeated. And once they sense hesitation, they will press upon it until you collapse. But if they see decisiveness, if they see you act without fear, they will retreat into doubt themselves. Control is not always about strength of arms. It is about strength of will. He who shows no hesitation rules the minds of men before he even lifts a weapon. Some will tell you that patience is a virtue, perhaps in love, perhaps in philosophy, but not in power. In power, patience too easily disguises hesitation, and hesitation is death. Better to act too soon than too late. Better to make a harsh decision now than a wise decision tomorrow. For tomorrow may belong to your enemy. A ruler must seize the present, for only the present is certain. The future is a battlefield of shadows, and the past cannot be reclaimed. Hesitation sacrifices the present to a dream of certainty, and certainty never comes. I say this to you: a ruler's hand must never tremble. His voice must never falter. His command must never waver. For the people do not follow the hesitant. They follow the one who appears unshakable, even in the face of uncertainty. They follow the one who acts, not the one who waits. And in their obedience, they create the very certainty the ruler lacked. Action creates its own truth. Hesitation destroys truth before it is born. So remember this: hesitation does not merely delay action. It reverses it. It takes power from your hands and places it in the hands of others. Every moment of doubt is a gift to your enemies. Every pause a weapon in their grasp. Every silence an invitation to rebellion. The ruler who understands this knows that hesitation is not a mistake. It is a surrender. And once you surrender the moment, you surrender the throne, you surrender the empire, you surrender everything, you surrender. So now you have seen the truth of power laid bare. You have seen how it corrupts the soul and demands the sacrifice of innocence. You have seen how control is not granted but manufactured, through fear, through perception, through ruthless design. You have seen how morality, that shining beacon men worship, is nothing more than a mask worn for their comfort, while behind it rulers sharpen their knives. And you have seen how hesitation, that most silent of poisons, has destroyed more rulers than any sword or rebellion. This is why I told you at the beginning, you are not ready for this kind of power. For the lessons I have revealed are not for the faint of heart. They are not for dreamers who cling to virtue, nor for idealists who believe in the goodness of men. They are for those willing to embrace what others deny, to walk into the shadows where morality, love, and mercy lose their meaning, to carry the burden of decisions that will stain their soul but secure their throne. Most men will never endure this price. They will choose comfort over clarity, illusions over reality, weakness over strength, and so they will remain ruled, not rulers. But for the few, for those who can accept that power is not beauty, but not kindness, but strategy, not morality, but survival, those few will rise above the masses and carve their names into history. The question is not whether you desire power. Desire is common. The question is whether you are prepared to pay its price. Whether you are prepared to bend men to your will, to bear the weight of cruelty, to master deception, to strike without hesitation, to live hated and feared yet never forgotten. For this is the essence of true power. It is not given, it is taken. It is not gentle, it is merciless. It is not pure, it is corrupted. And those who grasp it with steady hands will rule, while those who tremble will be ruled, forgotten, and erased. Now you know, the truth is before you. The shadows are open, the throne waits. And the only question that remains is this: are you ready?